Hello, welcome to Thor Talk, the show all about Marvel's resident god of thunder, where I discuss Thor feats, battles, story arcs, villains, and more. On this episode of Thor Talk, we look at the latest Thor comic in which the War Thor begins his warpath. But does he wield the hammer, or does the hammer wield him? If you haven't seen the origin of the War Thor, then I recommend hitting the link in the description to watch the episode of the identity of the War Thor. Plus, we see if Thor can fly without Mjolnir. All this and more on Thor Talk.
I am Thor the Thunderer, son of Odin, prince of Asgard. I am an avenger, and this world is under my protection.
Whosoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor.
The Mighty Thor, number 21, was written by Jason Aaron and is a direct follow-up to the previous issue. The story begins with the fiery riders of Muspelheim continuing their assault on the dwarves of Nidavellir. But as they push forward, their view is blocked by a storm, with clouds as black as coal. Lightning tears the riders apart as the ground troops of Muspelheim prepare their own assault, only to find the War Thor standing in front of them. They prepare to attack, but he sends a shockwave to knock them back, and then he sends lightning to kill them. He continues to tear down the forces of Muspelheim before he is hit with a blast of green magic from behind. Amora the Enchantress stands over him, with Ulik, the king of the rock trolls, by her side. Enchantress tells War Thor to give her regards to Thunderstrike as she prepares to kill him. But he deflects her magic and throws his hammer onto Amora, leaving her unable to move. Ulik punches War Thor, but he only ends up hurting his hand and breaking his knuckle duster. War Thor then proceeds to use his fist to beat on Ulik as Amora lays helpless under his hammer. War Thor then summons his hammer to crush Ulik, but then the Enchantress uses this opportunity to teleport them both to safety. War Thor tells the hammer that this is just the beginning. But then, Volstag breaks free for a second, saying that he must stop the killing. It's not who he is. But when he grasps the hammer again, War Thor resumes his war and carnage. S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Roz Solomon sees War Thor, and through their conversation, she realizes that he is Volstag. Meanwhile, on Asgardia, Thor tries to take a sickly Jane to a healer, but she continues to demand that no magic be used to cure her cancer. Thor says that Jane is dying, and he can feel her life force being drained out of her. Then he sees Mjolnir hovering nearby, and he realizes that Mjolnir is killing Jane. All Jane's cancer treatments have been drained out by Mjolnir. Thor tries to keep the hammer away from her, but she grabs it anyway and heads towards Nidavellir. Thor is left on the ground as Jane answers Mjolnir's call without a second thought. The caption tells us that this is why she is worthy, and this is why she will soon be dead. Okay, so it seems that Mjolnir's effect on Jane is finally going to lead to her death. Mjolnir isn't intentionally killing Jane. You see, Jane is receiving chemotherapy to fight her cancer. However, the moment she grasps Mjolnir, the poisonous chemo is purged from her body, but not the cancer. So essentially, her cancer is going completely untreated, and that will kill her. When Thor first found out that Jane had cancer, he immediately tried to cure her through magical means. However, she refused as she wanted to fight cancer with earth medicine. Now that she has Mjolnir and the earth medicine no longer works, she still refuses to use magic to cure herself. This will apparently lead to her death with October's The Death of the Mighty Thor Part 1. Also, we got to see the fury and power of the War Thor, and it seems that Volstag is not entirely in control and is more along for the ride. The hammer seeks blood and conflict above all else, which is very strange. The hammer originally belonged to the Thor of the Ultimate Universe, and he was actually known as a pacifist who used violence only when necessary. It seems the hammer's had a change of heart and is now out for blood.
And though we are but peaceful demonstrators, do not assume we cannot be provoked. Like that. Huh?
Now, Mjolnir is responsible for a few of Thor's powers, but is flight one of them? The answer is both yes and no. Thor can fly without holding Mjolnir. This is proven several times because if he couldn't, then when he threw Mjolnir while flying, he would fall to the ground. Thor has been shown to be able to fly at what appear to be light speeds without holding Mjolnir. However, if he doesn't have Mjolnir in his possession, then it's specifically stated that he cannot fly. However, it was shown in Secret Empire number 6 that Thor can at least hover without Mjolnir. Well, that's all for this episode of Thor Talk. If you want to keep up with Thor Talk and all Thor related news, follow Thor Talk on Instagram @Thor Talk. You can also keep up with Thor Talk by simply subscribing. Once again, I'd like to formally state that all art and video is owned by its respected companies, and I own none of it. With that said, see you next time on Thor Talk, where
you'll behold in breathless wonder.